Welcome to the Executive's View, the sports podcast where the stakes are high and the debates are fierce. Please welcome your host, Aaron Sirius Simmons, alongside co-host Barry DeVille and Jordan. Each week, we bring you into the boardroom where the elite minds of sports converge. From the gridiron strategies to the business behind the ball, we tackle the hard-hitting questions and give you an insider's perspective. So pull up a chair and join us at the table where champions are made and legends are born. This is the Executive's View. Let's get down to business.
What's going on? Welcome to the Executive View, the view from on top. I'm your host, Aaron Sirius Simmons, and I got a whole slew of gentlemen that can't wait to start talking sports. You guys don't know I don't do this by myself. I got my co-host with me, Barry DeVille and Jordan. What's going on, my guy? How we doing this evening, sir?
I'm good. Pull up a seat. You know, I need everybody to feel me with no hands. I need to feel me. But we here, man. Let's go. Let's get it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Pleasure to see you this evening, as always, man. I got my homie Larry in the building. What's going on, Larry? How we doing this evening, sir?
Yo, man, we doing good, man. We doing good over here. I do want to start the broadcast out by just saying that I know we talk about sports and we talk about a lot of things, but I want to say first before we get started that my hearts and prayers go out to everybody that was affected by that bridge in Baltimore collapsing this morning. I want to start the show off like that, but I'm good.
Yo, man, I definitely agree and echo your sentiments, man. I got friends and family that are around the way, and you know, prayers up. They're all good. You know, I've heard from everybody that I'm connected to that's been affected by that. Steve Black, Zach Morrison's in the building. What's going on, my guy? How we doing this evening with that nasty ass Houston Astros stuff on? Come on now, dog. I ain't ready for you right now.
I'm doing great. Y'all the ones that be wearing hats. So I decided, you know what? I'll wear a hat then.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. Good to see you in the building. Gentlemen, I'm not going to waste anybody's time, man. We've had a crazy weekend in sports, and it all kind of starts with the NCAA tournament. I wanted to sit back and just kind of pick you guys' brain. There's been a lot going on. UNC State, North Carolina State, that other squad from the ACC, NC State, has been balling as of late. Duke's looked good. Obviously, UNC's looks good. But, man, what team has actually surprised you and kind of played outside their mind as this thing kind of kicks over to week number 2? And, you know, Steve, I'll start with you, my guy.
You know, it's funny because, like, the team that has stood out to me, and this is going to sound strange, but UConn. The way UConn, once again, is just kind of like locked in, and it's just been so impressive. They are truly the number 1 seed. They are the best team in this tournament. Like I said, I'll leave all the UConn talk to Barry, but I just want to say it's like, just as an outside observer, you know, just looking at the teams, you know, Purdue has been Purdue, and Carolina, you know, had some turmoil. Like Houston, you know, the other 1 seeds have had a little, you know, turmoil. UConn looks like they're getting ready to run through this thing again. You know, so like it surprised me that once again Hurley has them locked in and ready to go on another run. And of course, yeah, like the biggest surprise as far as like a whole, because like UConn is fantastic, and I just, you know, I don't have no hate against UConn. You know what I'm saying? I've always been a respect of the program, but the ACC, we sat up here and we talked about how like, oh, the ACC is trash and it's a down year for the ACC, and the ACC is top heavy. And now you look at the Sweet 16, and you look at the teams. You see NC State, you see Carolina. You know, it's just it's one of those things where it's like this is the greatness of this tournament. Going into the tournament, we're talking about like this is a down year for the ACC. Now you fast forward to the Sweet 16, and lo and behold, look who's there. The ACC. You got, you know, UConn and Clemson and Carolina and NC State. So it's like a good chunk of the Sweet 16 is from this conference that supposedly was down, was weak. Big ups to the Big East too. Big East, representing as well. So it's like, yeah, but I would say UConn's continued dominance, I didn't expect them to be right back, just like, just pretty much picking up what they left off last year, as far as like just look like they're getting ready to moonwalk to Phoenix.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and talk a little bit, and then I'm gonna let you gentlemen speak. And again, I'm not trying to poke a bear or be disrespectful, but what Tennessee has looked like these first 2 games have been spectacular. Now, again, they did play Texas pretty tough, and I was impressed by watching that particular game. But
hell of a game. Big ups to the Vols, man. That was a fantastic basketball game. So,
it was very good. It was very good. So I liked what I saw out of them. Let's see. Before I move on to the UConn guy, and I got a Duke Blue Devil in here, but I got to give credit where credit is due. Duke has looked good. They've looked extremely good. They seem to have been able to find different guys to contribute. These first 2 games, it hasn't been the same guy. They found their 3-point stroke, and I'm curious to see how they look versus a Houston team who is the number 1 seed actually. And again, Houston had to survive Texas A&M. We were in the group chat, and I thought Texas A&M was going to pull off an upset there. So I liked what I saw out of Duke, even though I'm a Tar Heel fan. But going to the Duke fan, man, Larry, talk to me, my guy. Has it been Duke that surprised you? Has it been another team? That's kind of had you poke your eyebrows out a little bit.
Well, Duke did surprise me because they was a little shaky, especially going to the end of the season. I had my questions about Shire, but they've actually outperformed to me. I thought that they were going to be upset at some point in these first 2 rounds, but Duke has definitely surprised me. I'll give you guys the sneaky pick that has really shocked the hell out of me. Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
Clemson struggled down the stretch. They were losing games left and right. They were actually a bubble team.
I didn't have them make the tournament.
Everybody thought they was not going to make the tournament, and they're still hanging around right now going into the Sweet 16. And not only has they've been looking really good, they've actually been they've had some games where they came back a little bit, but they've actually started blowing out some of these teams. Mm-hmm. And Clemson is the one team that that nobody saw coming. They was the team that, like I said, everybody didn't even think they were going to make the tournament. We all had a feeling NC State was going to make the tournament because of the run that they made in the ACC tournament. They went on a crazy run. They've still been on a really crazy run. I'm actually thinking that they're going to upset Marquette. But of course, Cinderella's shoe's going to come off at some point right now. But, right now it's looking real pretty. It's looking like red bottoms over there because Cinderella is over here really, really shocking a lot of teams. Of course, right now I'm kind of torn because I'm a Duke fan. I love my Dukies, but of course, I got to root for my hometown team. But they're playing each other, so my heart is saying Duke, and my head is saying U of H because when we're talking about some of the hottest teams in the tournament, Texas A&M was literally crushing teams, crushing, and to say that U of H had pretty much all of their starters fall out. They were forced into an overtime, and they still ended up pulling out the game. I think that they're living a little bit of a cardiac kids over here, but sometimes that's what you need. Right now, the 2 teams that I'm looking at that's probably going to end up clashing is going to be whoever comes out of the U of H and the UConn. Because remember, we was talking in the green room that I actually thought about changing my pick to UConn because UConn is UConning.
They're running through things, man.
UConn is UConning. They're a well-oiled machine right now, and it's going to take a hell of a game from somebody to knock them off their perch. So right now, of course, you have like I say, you have your teams that what you expected from them, but the 2 teams that have really just stood out the most to me has been Clemson and NC State.
I can respect it. Villain, talk to me, my guy. It seems that the overall consensus is, them Huskies is rolling, but Think outside the box if you can. I mean, if you want to roll with UConn, that's cool. But what team kind of stood out to you, or teams kind of stood out to you over the first week of the NCAA tournament?
I mean, really, right now, UConn obviously they're rolling. I didn't like the round of 32 game. I felt the first half they played really well against Northwestern. The second half they played like garbage. I don't know if you guys watched the game. I watched the whole thing. Like their second half, they couldn't buy a bucket. I think the thing that the thing that impresses me the most about UConn is when one thing isn't working, they can lean on another way to beat you. So offensively, they couldn't buy a bucket. Caravan was not hitting shots. I think they were Northwestern locked in on defense, was playing really aggressive, especially out to extending the defense. But then they just locked in on defense. Like Bowie did nothing. Bo Bowie had no. He's a terrific scorer. He was a non-factor from the jump. I mean, so they could lock you down defensively, and they held them under 60 points. So that's why I agree with you guys. Like, obviously, I'm a homer, but UConn can beat you any way you want to play. Like any way you want to play with size, they have size. With a small lineup on the 3-point line, they can beat you at the 3-point line. Defensive game, they can beat you. They just beat you in a lot of different ways. They can get up and down the floor. They can play half court. Their sets are really intricate. They can beat you anyway. Like really, it's going to be them playing a really bad game and then a team coming in and punching them in the mouth. That's how they're going to lose. I don't see them really losing it. And it's a homer statistic, but yeah, that's how I feel. But I think Purdue was impressive because I didn't have them going to the Sweet 16, but then they beat the brakes off of Utah. Like Utah was a bad game plan from Utah State. Like trying to go inside against Edie. Like it was just a bad game plan. I don't understand what they were doing. And Purdue just imposed their will and like kind of ripped their hearts out, right? I agree with you guys. The ACC was very impressive. 8-1. Big East undefeated. I've been screaming at it, like I talked about it last week and this week. The Big East got disrespected. The fact that all the teams went to the Sweet 16 is like a sweet revenge for me. But I'll be the first to apologize because I didn't think North Carolina State had a chance. They're in the Sweet 16. They deserved it. They're playing really good basketball right now. The ACC as a whole, I thought was not completely down. I thought they were top heavy. But to get all these teams into only one team that did not make it to the Sweet 16 is impressive. North Carolina looked good. Duke, obviously, LG, they looked good. Clemson was impressive. So big kudos to them. The Mountain West Conference getting 6 teams in, thanks a lot. Thanks for nothing. Like, was a waste.
Yeah.
I think, and then the one thing I'll say that while there were upsets, obviously Kentucky, Kansas, Bill Self, stupid comments, but like with those 2 teams not making it, it's really all chalk. Like the top 8 seeds all made the Sweet 16. Like all the 1 seeds and all the 2 seeds made the Sweet 16, and only 2 of the 3 seeds didn't make it. Kentucky being one of them. And Kansas, right? No, Kansas was a 4 seed. So that was impressive to me. I think you're seeing the cream rise to the top right now, and you're seeing a lot of only 2 5 seeds, 1 6 seed and 1 11 seed made it to the Sweet 16. So it's like a lot of impressive teams that are making it. So I think that's what stood out to me. But I have to give Purdue props. I was impressed.
I mean, I feel you, man. I'm gonna throw this right back to you, man. All the 1 seeds have advanced to the Sweet 16. Which one do you feel the most confident in making the Final Four, and which one do you feel the least confident in making the Final Four?
UConn. I think with their draw, you look at who's left in that bracket, right? I think we play. San Diego State is a good team, but I don't think that they have much of a shot, really, of making any kind of hay. And then you look at Illinois and Iowa State. The winner of that 2 is going to be a dogfight between those 2. I think UConn can take any one of those 2. if you had to put a gun to my head of a team that I think is in the most trouble right now, I would probably say Houston, because I really think Duke is gonna make it hard on them. Duke is gonna make it really hard for them. I want to say Purdue, but I don't know. I think they can take Gonzaga, right? I think they can get by that game. But like Houston, I was a little shaky about that game. I agreed with you, Sirius. I thought Texas A&M was going to beat them. Duke is hot right now, so I think either that in that draw. I think what's the next? I think getting past Duke, they still got to face either a hot NC State team or a Marquette team that's really experienced. So I think Houston's going to have a tough time. Even though they're tough, they're a tough team. They're a physically tough team.
They're a very tough team. Steve, talk to me, my guy. Out of the one seeds, all the one seeds made it to the Sweet 16. They're 2-1 away from the Final Four. Talk to me, my guy. Which one seed do you have the most confidence in, and which one seed can you see getting bounced, this weekend when these games kick off?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to sound like a broken record here, but again, I started the show off with UConn. I'm going to continue to say UConn. UConn, you just look at the draw. San Diego State, okay. I just don't think they got enough horses to match up with UConn. You see on the other side, Illinois and Iowa State. I think the Illinois and Iowa State game is going to be a fantastic game.
Me too.
And they're going to beat each other up. And then UConn doesn't need their help to beat them, But whichever team wins that game is going to be softened up, so to speak, So I see UConn having the easiest path. Houston, as much as I hate, to say it, it's about the draw. In combat sports, you always say styles make fights. And in this region, you look at the other three teams in this region. Now, I know Houston, they get the fortunate draw to have this thing in Dallas, which is 3.5 LG. It's not a long drive from Houston to Dallas. It's going to be a very pro Cougar crowd up in Dallas. But the way Duke's been playing fantastic. It's like this is the time of year where it's like, to be honest, it's like Duke star is rising, and a little bit of the tarnish has come off of the Cougars. So you just kind of see a team kind of rising, a team kind of maybe kind of like going down a little bit. Do they get a bump with literally having like a home game in Dallas? Probably. But then they get past Duke. And then they got an NC State team where like this run that the Wolfpack have been on is just, I love it. I love it because this is what we tune in for in March Madness. A team like NC State who would not have made the tournament unless they went to the ACC tournament and did what they did. And then it's not just, we made the tournament good. They're in the tournament. They've won. They've continued to do it. They're grinding it out, and then again, against a very good Marquette team that is experienced, they're polished, they're good. So then Houston is going to have a tough matchup in the Elite Eight if they can make it past Duke. So I feel like as much as I would like to say Purdue, Purdue's probably going to beat Gonzaga. I will say this though, I like Creighton, and I don't have to sell the Big East guy on how good Creighton is. I know a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't watch Creighton. That is a good ass team. Omaha boys. Team. That is a legit good team. I would not be shocked if they beat Tennessee. Again, that's going to be a grimy game, Tennessee and Creighton, but I wouldn't be surprised if Creighton beats Tennessee and then beats Purdue, but we're saying hardest and like easiest. Like I wouldn't be shocked if Creighton comes out of that region. North Carolina, again, I think this game with them and Bama is going to be all hooks and uppercuts, boys. You know what I'm saying? That's what this game is going to be because that's how Carolina likes to play. That's how Bama likes to play. And like I said, it's going to be all hooks and uppercuts, and I like Carolina to make it. But man, Arizona, Caleb Love has been so good. Yeah. Caleb Love has been so good. And I would just be leery of, we talk about storyline and stuff like that. The North Carolina versus Arizona in the Elite Eight, that could be some drama.
That's going to be big. That's going to be big.
That could be some very drama-filled stuff because it's like, this kid has been playing lights out, and of course, he might elevate his game even more, playing his old team, and wanted to like kind of give one over on the old Tar Heels. But yeah, as far as like the seeds and stuff like that, I got UConn probably having the easiest road to the Final Four. And like I said, as much as I hate to say it, they got a home game, but it's just the other teams in their region. I think the Cougars going to have a pretty tough road to get to Phoenix.
I feel you. Larry, talk to me, my guy. These 1 seeds have all made it. You heard what's been said from the other 2 execs in the building. What say you, my guy?
So, the thing that I really sit back and, I'm thinking about, like I said, because I'm kind of torn right now. And Houston is grimy. Like Steve said, Houston is going to get it out the mud. And the one problem that I've noticed with Duke is when you get physical with them, especially Kyle, Filipowski will get real MIA when you get physical with him. And you're going to have to get real physical with Houston. Houston's, even the 10th guy off the bench will bite your nails off for a loose ball. They are really, really grimy. And they, like I said, that's the way the mindset of that whole team is. And now, do they got a little bit of a challenge trying to get there? I think, like I said, I think that they're wearing the red bottom right now. They're wearing Cinderella's shoe because of the games that they won that I didn't anticipate them winning. I felt that they was going to have a slip up. We've all seen Kevin Sampson teams lose the game that they should have won, and I thought that was going to be the A&M game. Everybody found out they needed to make free throws to win the game. The guy who never even played came off the bench, and he literally only did 1 free throw out of 2, and he hit the one that he needed to push it up to a 2-possession game. So, I think that's going to be the more challenging road. I actually, to be honest with you guys, I think that Purdue has the easiest road. They gave Purdue basically, hey, look, you blew a 16 seed. Don't mess it up for us this year. Don't mess it up for us this year. And, hey, look, if teams want to keep playing them like that because, they just pound you inside. That's basically what they do. And if teams want to keep allowing them to do that, then they'll keep taking that easy road and following it right to the Final Four. Now, I don't think that they'll beat any of the big teams. I don't think they'll beat any of the UConns, especially Edey matching up with Dylan. What's your guy from UConn, the 7-footer?
Oh, Klingon.
That'll be a hell of a matchup right there. But like I said, I know one team that we sat back and we all, kind of talked about these surprise teams, and I guess that they aren't the surprise team anymore. Like, you hear about these Cinderella stories and their slipper probably came off, but San Diego State is hanging in there. Mm-hmm. People expected it because of the run that they made last year, but they're making another run, and that's a little bit surprising. But yeah, I think it's going to be, we're getting down to the last of the last. We're getting down to like Steve said, it's going to be uppercuts. It's going to be, bob and weave. It's going to be, who comes out of this, with the less damage. Who comes out of this, ready to throw that haymaker. I will tell you guys this. This is the one thing that Steve, my guy, you actually put it on my brain. I meant to say it in the first take. So this is what actually kind of is a little bit disturbing to me about the NCAA tournament. I know we've been on the Big East and what teams got in and which teams didn't get in and who should have had, the most impressive, who's had the most impressive runs. But when you sit back and you look at that Arizona team, and we talked about Caleb Love, and you sit back and you see Juwan Howard got fired, and he would have had Caleb Love, what's the other guy, Terrence Shannon, and he might have kept Hunter Dickinson if they would have had an NIL program.
Yeah.
Michigan would probably be, because we saw all the Big 12 teams that got in, Michigan would probably be in this tournament if he would have got the players that he needed. And that was one of the disturbing things about the tournament to me, was that when you saw he got fired, and it was all because you guys didn't get him the players that he needed, and you see these players balling out, he would have been in this tournament. I'm not saying what he would have done or not would have done. If he has the players, Juwan has gotten to a Final Four. You give him the players, and you never know what's going to happen. But that was the one thing that I did want to say, that I feel bad for him, because he basically got fired when you guys didn't get him the players that he actually recruited that was going to come there, and they decommitted, and one of them actually left.
Yeah, I mean, real quick on Michigan. See, this thing is like this. Like, I know people who went to Michigan who are Michigan fans. Michigan people have a inflated sense of self. They're too good. They're too good for NIL. We do things the right way. Kids want to come to Michigan because it's Michigan. We shouldn't have to pay kids to come to Michigan. And, you hear people talk about a Michigan man and a Michigan woman and stuff like that. So it doesn't shock me that Michigan feels like they're they don't want to play the NIL game. Michigan has more money. Like I said about Texas and a lot of these big programs, they have more money than some small countries. So it's not about they can't afford to pay guys or, and I hate to use the word pay, NIL. You know what I'm saying? It's not like they can't afford NIL, but it's like they feel like they're above it. And if I'm a coach coming in, I'm like, look, guys, we got to do something here because it's the way things are now. Whether you like it or not, it's the way things are now. But I just want to get that in on Michigan.
I mean,
That's
Steve,
who Michigan is.
think about it. Think about that 1-2 punch with Caleb Love, and if Dickerson would have stayed. He left. He went to Kansas. You could have kept him there with NIL money. That 1-2 punch alone probably would have got you in this tournament. But then he's the scapegoat, and he gets fired for it.
Yeah.
After he turned that program around, got Chris Webber and then back in the program, there was such a good feeling going on in Michigan. And to see it end like that, I was pretty disappointed. I mean, and that's just how Michigan is, just from the standpoint of holding their, beating their chest out. I mean, they're the rich side of town, and like Ohio State is like the blue collar part of town. You know what I mean? That's just how it always is. It's a Michigan man, to your point. So it's unfortunate. I like the hire that they did have. The guy from Florida Atlantic. He's a good coach. But to your point, they got to get him the tools that he needs. They got to get that NIL going, and they need to get kids in that school. They haven't had top talent in a long time at Michigan. In a long time. I mean, who's the last first round pick that they've had there? What is it? Hardaway Jr.? Did he go there? I don't even remember.
First round pick? Nah.
No. They had
when did Jordan Poole?
Yes. You're right.
No,
Jordan Poole. Yeah.
But they haven't had the talent that they've had in the past.
Yeah, not the overall talent. I mean, they've had some talented players. They haven't had the talented rosters like they had in years past. So no.
Right.
Yeah.
Like when
honestly,
it's the same thing with Georgetown. Like that, that was a brand. You know what I mean? In the 80s, Georgetown was a brand. St. John's was a brand. In the late 80s to early 90s, Michigan was a brand. Like everybody walked around with them. If you walked around with a Michigan like shorts, basketball shorts, that was a statement. Just like a Georgetown starter jacket in the 80s. You know what I mean? Like you don't see that anymore. It's not the same. And to your guys' point, they don't bring in the talent that these other schools can get. And to win in college basketball, it's about dipping into that NIL pool, the transfer pool, and getting that 6-year senior that has an extra year eligibility, Cam Spencer, and bringing him on your team. That's the difference.
Hey, Barry, I will say this. So, back in the day, it used to be, like you said, it was the brand. You wanted to go to Georgetown, Michigan, because you wanted that Jordan brand. You wanted to be able to rock the Jordan gear. But now with NIL, it's like, screw that Jordan brand. I'll buy my own Jordan. I got $2 million waiting over here for me.
That's right.
And they need to change that mindset of how they looking at recruiting players, because a lot of players they're not going to go just because of the mystique of Michigan or the mystique of Georgetown. Or like, hey, we got a Jordan contract because we can wear a Jordan brand and everybody else is wearing Nike or something. And they need to fix it, because I would love to see Georgetown back. I honestly would.
I think we all would. Yeah, I mean,
we all would.
Like
it's not the same.
Yeah, for us, and by us, I think y'all know what I mean. For us, Georgetown was it, man. Georgetown was it. Even if you weren't a Georgetown fan, you respected them because of what Big John stood for, because what he was doing. And so it's like I said, I would love to see Georgetown back. And it's like, man, serious, this, man. It is some straight up ballers in the DC area. There's no reason why Georgetown should be as bad as they are.
Keep them home and be there.
That's the thing. That's the thing. They go all over the place.
Yeah.
That's why New York. New York, they can't keep the kids at St. John's because of the facilities. There's not enough facilities for those kids. That was one of the big things that Rick Pitino cried about. I know we're going off on a tangent. I'm sorry, guys.
No,
but,
go work.
Like Georgetown is a brand, and it's. I'm a Husky fan, but we all know Timeless. He's a big Georgetown fan. I know other Georgetown fans. Like there was nothing better than seeing a Monday night game on ESPN, either Georgetown versus Syracuse or Georgetown versus UConn, seeing Allen Iverson, Victor Page, like all those, like it was, oh man, it just gives me chills, and it's just a shame that they can't get it back. I really hope they do. I really hope. I thought Pat would. I thought, John Thompson's son, Junior, he would. I hope.
Well, again, it's kind of hard to do that when you can't keep the talent here. You know what I'm saying? Again, Georgetown is very, very, very renowned, and it's like on the Mount Rushmore of college basketball programs over our time. But to you guys' point with NIL, and the thing is, I'm not going to even blame it on NIL because Georgetown was in the crapper before this NIL thing started taking off. You know what I'm saying? So I can't even blame the NIL. It's just that the men that come in there to coach the program suck at recruiting, and you really got to recruit from your own backyard and get the guys that stay in the DMV to stay here. I mean, you got guys that live in the DMV going to VCU. You got cats living in the DMV playing at JMU who just made, the second round of the NCAA tournament, but you can't get these same guys to play for Georgetown. Like, hell, there are better basketball players that play for George Mason than Georgetown. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, man, it's unfortunate, but I wanted to double click on something you said about NIL as it pertains to Georgetown, and I'm a top football into this as well. When you have an old-minded head coach or old-minded program that struggles to adapt and move with the times, do you think that's the reason why they don't get NIL or understand NIL? And I'm thinking about, John Thompson, Juwan Howard, Nick Saban, these old school minded coaches that fail to adapt and adjust to how sports and college athletics are being portrayed in 2024. Zach, talk to me, my guy.
Well, it's like we talk about Georgetown, like we're all men of a certain age. It's like you cannot go into somebody born in 2004, and try to explain to them about like the mystique of Georgetown, because for their entire life, Georgetown's been in the mud their whole life. So it's like you can't, like, again, it's like UCLA, we was talking about this. It's like, for us, like these are prestige programs. Like try to explain to somebody who's 18 years old about man, Syracuse, you're talking about like Georgetown, man. For a kid growing up in Houston, Texas, Georgetown and Syracuse was must-see TV for me because I love basketball.
Absolutely.
And it was must-see TV for everybody around the country. And now, if Georgetown plays Syracuse, that stuff is probably on ESPNU, maybe. You know what I'm saying? You might have to stream it on. You might have to fire up the ESPN Plus to watch it now.
They don't even play each other anymore.
Yeah, exactly. They don't even play each other anymore. It's like restore the feeling. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but I do think coaches like Saban, are like, they're refusing. And I talk about this, like, what happened to the game I love? They don't want to adapt because it's like it was okay when you were the only one being able to, put some $100 bills in a McDonald's bag and wrap it up and hand it off. But now that everybody else can do it and it's above board, now it's like, oh man, these kids, all they want is money. All they want is this and that. As Nick Saban drives off in his brand new Corvette and goes to Nick Saban Chevrolet, and then goes to his franchise, Waffle House, whatever like that. But all these kids, money is so important to these kids because all they care about is money. Right. And I just feel like this is a new day and age.
You lace your pockets with it, man.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? It's like you pull up to these recruits' houses in the Corvettes or the Charger or whatever like that, and like I said, he's handing out Challengers and Hellcats like they're chewing gum, but. When everybody else can do it, it's like, oh well, I don't know about this, man. I'm ready to get out of here because the game has changed, and it's like these coaches, they just have to learn, and that's in all sports, in collegiate sports. It's a new day and age. You know, we didn't have a college football game for 10 years because the kids were like, you know, not getting paid. They're like, wait a minute, like Charles O'Bannon, you know, was like, hey, wait a minute, they're using my likeness, they're doing this, they're doing that, they're making billions of dollars, and I don't get any, you know. So it's like, how dare, you know, these kids are like, you know, can I get a little bit? You know what I'm saying? I just saw Armando Baycott on a, you know, commercial. You know what I'm saying? Kalen Clark doing State Farm and stuff like that. You know, it's like, I love it. Again, we talked about this like recently. NIL, it's gotten wild. It's gotten somewhat out of hand, but it's the way the game is played now. You know, and it's like, if you don't adapt, you will get left behind like a Georgetown. You know, and it's sad to see a program that I grew up respecting. It's like I said, we all rooted for different teams, but everybody was a Georgetown fan, if you know what I'm saying. You know, so it's just one of those things where it's the sign of the times. I mean, you have to adapt and adjust to how things are doing. And again, Michigan, if they don't catch up, they're going, you know, not saying they're going to fall as far as Georgetown, but you know, you got to get with the times.
Yeah. Anybody else want to chop in on this before we move?
Yeah. Let me get in on it real quick. So, you know, I'm gonna say this. I'm not used to seeing and you guys can back me up. I'm not used to seeing an NCAA tournament without a Syracuse zone. And how do you beat the zone? I am not used to this.
Nope.
Because we're so used to seeing a good Syracuse
and
team.
everybody,
And they were the last one still playing 1-3-1, box man and man. They would, you know, hope, but you would see these so-called superstars. Can you shoot? Because you're not getting past the zone. Can you really shoot? Can you really know how to break the zone? Throw it into the interior, man. Let him kick it back out. You know, do you really know how to break the zone? And it's weird not seeing an NCAA tournament without Syracuse and Syracuse running the zone. And I will kind of chime in on what you guys were saying. If you know the landscape of NCAA football, basketball, you know, pretty much any sport. If you win Texas, Florida, California, you're going to win. You keep that talent there, you're going to win. Steve brought it up. Texas, they have that NIL fund. If Texas alone keep Texas talent in Texas, if you're getting all the talent, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, it could be field hockey, if whatever the case may be, if you're keeping all the Dallas students in Texas, you're keeping all the Houston students in Texas, you're keeping all the San Antonio, and I'll even go even further. Steve is from Texas. You guys aren't. You keep all that, you know, DeSoto, McAllen. You keep all these little small cities that you see these guys come out of. Imagine UT, and I know it was some, you know, I ain't gonna go into details, but imagine if UT would have kept Adrian Peterson at Texas with Cedric Benson. That running game would have been literally unstoppable.
Yeah.
So if you can keep that talent and it's homegrown, it's in your backyard. You know these people. You know they family since they was in middle school. You know, hey, this is his uncle. This is his aunt. You know, hey, you can stay right here, get $2 million, get $500,000. Hey, even if you don't go to the pros, you got $2 million in the bank. Stay 4 years. Okay. You know, you might get, you know, another $2 million or something like that. Stay at home. Let your mom come and watch a game. Let your grandma, who's 80 years old, come to the game, and you'll see a lot of these programs change. And then I'll even go even further. You know, I'll go say, I like to drop this on y'all brains. So imagine if you're that kid, you grew up in DC, you wasn't heavily recruited, you were that kid that you took the one scholarship you had, and you balled out all 4 years or 3 years, and now you hit that transfer portal and you come your ass back home. And you can rebuild some of these struggling blue bloods, these teams that we are known for seeing in the NCAA tournament. You can rebuild them just by adapting to the new landscape of college basketball, football, whatever.
So why do coaches, again, Barry, I'm gonna throw this at you. And then you can talk about what we just talked about. Yeah, sure. Why do coaches and programs struggle to adapt? Because, like, to me, if it works over here, this is a copycat thing, right? If it works over here, then why do you think you can do it better or do something different over here when the whole country is doing it this way? And I mean, make it make sense for me.
Part of it's ego. Part of it's like, I've been doing it this way for so long. I don't need to do it this way. I'm Alabama. I can get people to come here because I'm Alabama, or I'm Duke. I can get people to come here because it's Duke. And to Zach's point, like, it's different. Like, Duke has been good, but I don't need to go to Duke to get my money. I don't, and it's about getting my money.
The only difference I'll chime in real quick, Barry. The only difference is when you go to Duke, they sell more of the education. It's almost like going to Ivy school.
Sure,
they sell
yeah.
that, and that's the reason why you see students stay
here's
longer.
The deal: when the regular season is over, right? Even before the tournament starts, coaches have to go talk to AAU coaches who are acting like these kids' agents.
Yeah.
And recruit the AAU coaches to get these kids to either get into the portal or come to their school. And they don't want to do that. That's not what they normally do. They're used to going into your living room, talking to your moms, talking to your dads, and getting them to. It's a different. Like, coaches now have to be business partners, and coaches don't want to be business partners. They want to be your coach, which is fine. I mean, I'm here to coach you, teach you how to play basketball, and get you ready for the next level on the basketball court. But now I have to get you ready on the business side too, about your brand, getting you ready to take care of your money, which they should have been doing a long time ago. You go to college, right. I take business courses. Why can't you teach these kids how to take care of their money when they go to the next level? You know what I mean? That's just a whole nother thing. But now coaches they already wear a lot of hats. They have to manage the staff. They have to talk to the media. They have to manage these kids, make sure they're going to class. Now they have to be a business partner with them too. And that's another step that they don't want to do. So that's why these coaches are lost and get left behind. You know what I mean? Like, the fact that some of these schools didn't go to the NIT, it's like, well, where's the money in that for me? That's the difference. You know what I mean? Like, that's the mentality now. So when the coach is ready to embrace that, then it'll change. They'll change with the times. You literally have to go, and depending on when it starts, at a young age or not, but you have to go at these kids and say, hey, this is how I can help you get your brand. And they don't want to do that.
That's unfortunate, man. Well, anybody else want to talk on this before we move on?
I'm cooked. That'd be good, man.
I'm good.
Say less, man. Since we're talking basketball, college-wise, I'm gonna switch over to the NBA, and talk about a couple of things as we come down the stretch. Playoff positioning is upon us. We got a bunch of teams vying for, looks like, 10 spots. Eastern Conference is pretty much running through Boston from the looks of things. Milwaukee's locked into a 2 seed for the most part, or they're battling with Cleveland. There are your New York Knicks, sitting in 4th place right now. The Orlando Magic. Steve, man, we talked offline a lot about the Orlando Magic and what they're doing with Pablo. Indiana sitting at the 6th seed. Eastern Conference wise, man, I understand Joel Embiid is out. Maxi's doing the best that he can to kind of stable that ship, hoping that Joel Embiid comes back. But when you look from 7 to 10, you got Miami, Philadelphia, Chicago, Atlanta, Brooklyn, and Toronto kind of clipping at the heels to kind of get into that play-in tournament. So if you look at 7 through 10, what kind of stands out to you? And if you want to talk about the upper echelons, the 1 through 6, Steve, man, give me a position on the Eastern Conference, and then I'm gonna flip it over to the Western Conference here in a minute.
So I'll work from the bottom to the top. At the bottom, the Heat, you know what I'm saying? It's like they do this. They kind of fumble and bumble around toward the end of the season, and then they'll lock in, and then they'll be the Heat. It's just like they're a different team You know, people are like playoff this, playoff that, whatever. Like the playoff heat are a thing to me. And I feel like, you know, they do just enough to get in. Then once they get in, it's truly we wipe everything clean. You know, and now it's about trying to win the tournament, so to speak. You know, I like I said, we talk all the time about the Magic. I love what the young Magic are doing. They could present a very tough first round matchup for a team and really give somebody like a really tough series to wake them up. You go to at the top, it's Milwaukee. I'm watching them right now. The Lakers are a very unserious basketball team that they're playing tonight. But I mean, other than that, you know, Milwaukee seems to have. We talked a lot about the Bucks. They seem to kind of like stabilize things. Things were kind of going off the rails a little bit for the Bucks. The East runs through Boston. Now, albeit what happened the other night with the Hawks, that's a bad look. I mean, but it's one of 82. You know, and I'm gonna look at the bigger picture, you know, of the Celtics season. That was a bad loss the other night. They've had a lot of good wins. They stacked up wins, and I think the Eastern Conference runs through Boston. And I've said it before. It's like, you know, the New York Knicks. As much as I like, I'm just saying this, and I've said it before on this show. It's like I love what the Knicks are doing. I love just their makeup. It's like they're going to be tired though, because we all know how Tibbs does, and I just want to see like how down the stretch. Maybe we give the guys a night off for 2 down the stretch, Tibbs. Maybe we play the guys 35 minutes and not 30. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. You know, but like I said, the Eastern Conference, like, and I kind of like I said, I love basketball. I love everything about basketball. My team that I watch the most is the Rockets, so that means I watch a lot of Western Conference basketball. The Eastern Conference is great. It's just, for me, I only legit see 3 teams winning the East, maybe. That's Boston, that's Philly if you get Embiid back, and
Milwaukee.
You know, Milwaukee. You know, other than that, the Eastern Conference playoffs will be entertaining because you will get some entertaining matchups, especially at the bottom. But I feel like at the end of the day, the East is kind of locked and loaded. And I feel like the West is so wide open. I'm sure we'll get to the West later, but like the West is like so crazy. You know, it's literally just like all over. It's all over the place. Where like the Eastern Conference, I won't call it boring, but it's like I'd be surprised if one of those 3 teams I mentioned didn't win, because like in the West, you could have one of these teams that are lower seed that could like get hot and go on a run. But the Eastern Conference as a whole isn't great. I think, like we talked about the ACC, it's top heavy, but I mean, man, at the top, it's great. Now, the Eastern Conference is really good at the top with the Knicks and the Celtics, and you know, like I said, the Bucks and the Celtics, you know, Celtics and the Bucks, and you know, and again, we'll see. You know, it's like I said, we talked about this around the All-Star break. Oh, nobody plays defense. This is awful. This is terrible. But with one brave man, and that man was me. I was like, boys, it's gonna tighten up down the stretch, and we're getting down the stretch, and it's tightening it up. So it's like, you know, I'm anxious to see how this all falls in the East, like with the seeding and stuff like that. So we'll see.
Question for you, and then I'm gonna throw it to Villain. The Cleveland Cavaliers are sitting right now at the 3 seed, but you mentioned Boston, Milwaukee, and Philly if they get Embiid back. So my question is kind of twofold. Playoff Miami is a thing. You know, playoff Butler is you know, again, they're gonna get themselves together, whether they have to win it through the play-in or whatever. But Cleveland's sitting right there at the 3 seed, and Spider ain't really been playing much. Talk to me, man. I mean, do you think Cleveland's going to be able to challenge Milwaukee or Boston, or you honestly think it's just Boston, Milwaukee, and you mentioned Philly?
See, and the thing is, it's experience. Like we talk about, like things tightening up down the stretch. Experience is just, you know, the Cavs are super talented. And I've even said as much, like I believe the very first show we did, I was like, man, I love the Cavs. I love what the Cavs are doing. Watch out for the Cavs. But this time of year, experience on the court and off the court. You need experience coaching, You need experienced players. You need that combination of two. And it's something where I feel like the Cavs fall somewhat short. They're still a young team. They have a good team, but I just, at the end of the day, I'm anxious to see what they do if they're down 2-1 in a series. Yeah. Will they rise to the occasion, or will they be like, oh, well, we're down 2-1, or if they're down 3-2? Can they win 2 games? Can they win 1 on the road? Can they go into New York? Can they go in the Garden and win a game 6? Can they do that? Can they, can they go? Can they do that? The jury's still out on the Cavs. I love what they're doing in Cleveland, but for me, the reason why I didn't mention them is lack of experience.
I can respect it. Villain, talk to me, man. The Eastern Conference is very, very, very top heavy. The road to the NBA Finals goes through Boston from the Eastern Conference side. Your New York Knicks right now sitting in the 4th seed with a handful of games left to play. Talk to me, man. How do you feel about this Eastern Conference, man?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with my Knicks, obviously, because it's my Knicks. I mean, I've been impressed, right? They got Anunoby back, but he hasn't played in the last 3-4 games. But losing the guys that they did and to still be the 4 seed and really in striking distance of the 3 seed, I think they're a half a game behind Cleveland right now. Mm-hmm. Is really impressive to me, because I thought with all those injuries we'd be fighting to get to the play-in. Not to be in the play-in, but to be at that like 6-7 tier, right? Mm-hmm. So to be at this point and really be in striking distance of the 3 seeds, which is where you want to be at this point, you want to kind of avoid Boston as far as you can. Is impressive to me. I think Boston, yeah, it was a bad loss last night, but I mean, they're clearly the best team in the East, and they do everything well. They defend, they rebound, they score. I think the problem is, like, is Tatum going to be that guy? Is he going to be that guy? Like, is Tatum going to be that guy? Like, we have questions. We haven't gotten answers. He's young, but he's been at least in the Eastern Conference Final, like, every year he's been in the league, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, even though he's young, it's like, dude, you've been knocking on the door. Like, you didn't start your first year you were in the playoffs, or in the, you know what I mean? Like, usually it like takes like your 3rd year to get your team into the playoffs. He's been sniffing it since he got into the league. So we feel like he's been in here forever. You know what I mean? So it's time for him to start answering questions, or we got more questions and we got doubts about you. Right. So, but yeah, Milwaukee getting healthy is huge. I think getting, Giannis healthy back on the horse is really what they need down the stretch. Doc really has them playing defense. I do like Cleveland, but I don't like what I've seen since the All-Star break. I've seen them get some bad losses. They lost to your Rockets. Mm-hmm. They've lost, so they lost a handful of games where it's like, okay, I thought they were better. Like, they lost to the Hawks. I mean, even though the Celtics lost to them, like, what are we doing here? Like, you know what I mean? Like, they lost to the Suns, they lost to the Nets. I mean, like, these are bad losses. The Heat, they got blown out by the Heat the other night.
Yeah, the Heat blew them out. Yeah,
blew them out. So it's like, they were entrenched in that 2 seed, and now they're in danger of falling as far back as like 5 or 6. So even though I like their makeup, I think they need toughness inside. I think they have some guys like Morris and Allen are good, but I feel like they need more toughness inside, right? So that's going to be the big thing for me. I think it is a 2-horse race. I think Milwaukee is starting to come on when they need to. And it's going to be fun. But, yeah, the bottom half is doo-doo, man. Like, you're talking about some of the play-ins under 500, where the play-ins in the West are, like, at least 10 games above 500. So, yeah, it's really top-heavy in the East.
Larry, talk to me, my guy, man. Again, Boston has the best record, not only in the Eastern Conference, but in the whole league at 57 wins. You got some interesting matchups coming down the stretch. Chicago's in the plan as we currently speak. Atlanta looks to get Trae Young back, and we all understand what Ice Trae does in the playoffs. Just action man villain over here. Talk to me, my guy, man. This Eastern Conference is going to be interesting.
Man, y'all about to make me channel my inner Chandler with this Eastern Conference. I'm just they're gonna put like this. When I look at the Eastern Conference, and this has been going on for too many damn years. This is the whole reason why we got the freaking play-in, because you have teams in the West over 500, and you got teams in the East under 500 making the playoffs. This is the whole reason why we had a freaking play-in. Yeah. And we had this. We look at the Eastern Conference, and you're like, okay, the Hawks are gonna get in. They're under 500. The Bulls are gonna get in. They're under 500. The 76ers, they haven't had Embiid in 3 months or 2 months or something. They've been free falling forever. They're barely over 500. And then you got teams in the West, and like, oh my God, we just kicked the crap out of the East, and we're 10 games over 500, and we're holding on by a thread. And that's the Eastern Conference. I'll put it like this. Like I said, I'm channeling my inner Chandler over here. You guys saying that the Eastern Conference is top heavy, right? We've seen Boston wet the fucking bed. We've seen the Bucks literally crap out in the first freaking round. I'll even go even further. Steve said we're gonna see it tighten up. Yeah, the Knicks play defense, but the Pacers don't play defense to save their fucking life. The Pacers wouldn't play defense if you paid them. That they're getting paid to play defense. They literally don't. They literally probably go to practice and be like, "What is defense? We want to shoot 80 times in the first quarter. That's what we came here for. Like, what do you mean, guard my man? Why am I supposed to do that? I don't.
What's that mean?
Do that. Yeah, what does that mean? And they're literally sitting in the 6th seed. So they may or may not get past the first round because they don't play defense, and we know the game slows down in the playoffs. We know that's going to happen. The Knicks. We've seen the Knicks wet the bed. Matter of fact, the Knicks wet the bed last season. I mean, and you don't know what that team is even going to look like because they still haven't even got back.
Julius Randle's not back.
They haven't even.
I don't think he's coming back.
Yeah, I don't either. Yeah,
I don't think he's coming.
Honestly, I don't think he should. I don't think he should because the way this Knicks team's playing now, they play better without him.
Yeah, it's real quick. I'm sorry, Larry, but like he's doing everything but contact, and he's been doing it for so long that the only thing that's holding him back is the contact. Well, at this point, you can't take the contact.
True statement.
He's not there in the playoffs anyway, so it don't even matter. But
it's the same difference, right?
Yeah, I mean, sit on the bench and
yeah, I mean, you guys know me, Larry. You're new to me, right? Like by the time playoffs start, I'm ready to get rid of Randall. I'm ready to trade this guy for a
bro. You've been ready to get rid of Randall since you signed him.
He's like Randall's like the equivalent of the NBA Cowboys. He's good for like half the season, but come playoffs, you can't find him.
You can't find him.
Well, he is from Dallas.
That makes a lot of sense.
Put out APB for Randall.
Yeah, you got to put APB out for him, and like even when we talked about Cleveland, I think nobody takes Cleveland serious because Mobley's gonna come back, and Allen and Mobley can't play together. They can't play together, and that's their biggest problem.
Yeah,
they're either clogging the lane up or one's trying to go shoot threes and all this other stuff, and they get in the way of Spider, and that's why nobody really takes them serious. And when it comes to, like I said, when it comes to Eastern Conference, it's like, man, I don't. Boston literally has been dominating the Eastern Conference all year, and then what do? They wet the bed against the freaking Hawks without Trey. They were up by 30.
How you get a 30-point lead to the Atlanta Hawks with Trey Young?
Trey Lance. Yes.
Like, how do you do that, man?
You're not focused. And that's always been Boston's problem. And like you said, at some point, how many times do you keep giving Tatum and Brown passes? They're young. They'd have been to the freaking NBA playoffs. Like, why in the hell are we still giving those passes?
I'm not giving them a pass anymore.
It's their
You can't.
It's their lack of focus. You get in the playoffs and they lose focus, and you sit up and you say to yourself, how in the hell did you lose to this in the second round? You're Boston. Right. You're the top seed. How the hell did you do that? because they lose focus in the playoffs, and it don't matter if they the 1 seed or 3 seed or whatever, and even if, and I put like this, I'll even go even further. The only team that I really have any faith in the Eastern Conference is the Miami Heat.
They've shown it.
Miami Heat, yeah, they're the only ones that have shown that they can at least get out of the East. Now, have they brought the chip home? No. The only team that has brought the chip home is Boston, but we've seen Boston have 2 meltdowns. 2 major meltdowns. Like I said, then that's the only team that you really could say, okay, when you come to the playoffs, who's gonna go on that miraculous run? Like we say, playoff Jimmy is real. We get into that playoffs and then you say to yourself, okay, well, we thought it was gonna be Boston. No, we thought it was gonna be the Bucks. No, it's the Heat once again. And now the Heat is ready to, be that sacrificial lamb for the Eastern Conference. I mean, one of my biggest pet peeves about the East is, and the NBA has tried to fix it with the playoffs, with the play-in, but why do you keep trying to circumvent the fact that the Western Conference is a much better conference? Don't allow these teams that are under 500. You put a stipulation in about the MVP have to play so many games in order to qualify. You need to put a stipulation in and say you have to be X amount of games over 500. You have to have a winning basketball team to make the damn playoffs. And if you ain't got no winning goddamn team, then now that team in the West, you are playing a team in the East. And I can bet you right now, and I know we ain't on the Western Conference yet. If you put my Rockets in that Eastern Conference and play those teams,
we're gonna smack up. We're gonna smack
Watch what happens. Watch what happens. Watch what happens. That's all I'm gonna say. Watch what happens.
So I'm gonna speak on the East, and then we'll move over to the West. Honestly, gentlemen, I'm not buying Boston. I've said it publicly. I've said it privately. I understand they have the best record in the league. But they got to show me something. We have seen this Boston Celtics team fall on its face so many different times. I want to put stock in Milwaukee, but they're coached by a guy who routinely can't get it done. And Doc Rivers, now again, he has Dame, he has Giannis. This team seems to be getting healthy. Chris Middleton is running in the form a little bit. But for me...
Hey, Aaron, let me drop this on you. Aaron, let me drop this on you right quick. Let me drop this on you real quick. We seen Milwaukee have 2 meltdowns, and what is their coach known for?
Oh, he
Clippers meltdowns.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah.
That's why I'm struggling to roll with Milwaukee through this Eastern Conference. Miami has been sleepwalking, but I can't not rock with Miami right here. Like I just can't. So I'm gonna pick Miami to come out of the East. They're just like, again, we talked about it in a previous segment. Styles make fights, and Mike Tyson said this: everybody has a plan A till you get punched in the mouth. Everybody has a plan A till you get punched in the mouth. And with Spo, he don't care who you are, what your name is, what your record is. Come playoff time, he's gonna punch you in the mouth. He's gonna keep punching. And you gotta answer the 10 count, or he's gonna knock your behind out. So I'm rolling with Miami to make a significant run in these playoffs, even though they're currently sitting in the 7th seed. Flipping over to the West, like we all alluded to, man, it's wild over in the Western Conference, man. You got Denver, OKC, the T-Wolves, the Pelicans. Shout out to the freaking Pelicans. I don't know I don't know if it was Barry or Steve, but we were talking about the Pelicans getting themselves together, and being in the actual playoffs that this play in. Yeah. Shout out to them. The Clippers have been on a free fall. Sacramento's gotten themselves right, sitting at the 6th seed right now. Then the play-in, you got Dallas, Phoenix, the Lakers, Golden State, and Houston kind of vying for the last play-in spot. Talking about the Western Conference, Larry, I'm gonna throw it right back at you, my guy, since you were the last one to go. This Western Conference is wild. How do you make heads out of this thing?
It's a gauntlet. It's been a gauntlet. It's been a gauntlet for years. We Rockets fans. How many years have we seen the Rockets above 500 and they're in the lottery?
So many freaking times, dog.
How many
So
times have you saw that? Because the West is literally a gauntlet. You know, right now, I don't know what was in that, you know, that text message that the Joker sent out, but they have literally been on a crazy run since All-Star. Like, they're almost like, I hate to say it like that because Barry's gonna love it, but I'm about to say, they're like the UConn of the NBA. They're well-oiled machine, and they're running at all cylinders right now. So what do? You take a puncher's swing and hope that you can hit them, hope that they go down. But Denver's the class of the West right now. You know, when I look at teams like OKC, they're balling. They're young and they're balling. They're playing carefree. The scary thing about OKC is that they're balling and they're still sitting on like 22 first-round draft picks. They're still sitting on like everybody's first-round draft picks, and it's like with them, I think that they're just the games I've watched with OKC, they're so young, so good, and so deep. They just kill you in waves. It's like the 8th guy off the bench is averaging like 8 points, and that's like miraculous in the NBA. You know, you don't see, you know, teams that deep, that young, and they're just throwing waves and waves of bodies at you that all can score. And that they actually play some pretty good defense. They all defend. And Shai Gilgeous, you know, you might as well just pencil that dude in for like 30 and 10 every night.
Easily.
You know, and I'll even go even further. I like their coach. I think that he's kept them together. He's got them playing good. And even with the Giddey situation, normally you see stuff like that happen and it just tears the team apart. They're actually rallied around Giddey and they actually are playing good. So, you know, I definitely like OKC. Minnesota's kind of in that same boat with OKC. They're good. They're young. I can't even speak about Anthony. I'm having a brain lapse right now.
Edwards.
Anthony Edwards, man, that guy is box office, man. You see him and you're like, he's keeping them afloat right now. He's keeping them afloat. If they get Cat back, yeah, they're gonna be scary, dangerous if they get Cat back. I think he's like, give or take, he may make second round if they get past the first round. But if Cat comes back, they're gonna be really scary. The rest of the teams, they're good, but they all have issues. When you look at everybody else, it's like, you know, it's like looking at that pretty girl, but she's crazy, and you know something's wrong with her, and you're like, oh my God, she's pretty, but something's wrong with her. Something's not right with her. So when you look at, like, you know, like the Clippers, they got all this talent. They went on this miraculous run, and then now they're like, we don't want to win any games. We just want to come out here and, you know, middle our way into the playoffs. You know, even when you look at like Phoenix is like, okay, we have all this collection of talent, and then we lose games to, you know, some team that's under 500. I think they lost to the Wizards or somebody the other day. You know, like they got issues. You know, it's like Dallas, the Pacers. They don't want to play defense. They want to score. You know, Luka has to get his triple-double, and then he has to whine and, you know, complain like, oh, my God, we're losing a game. But your man just blew by you for this last-second layup, and that's the reason why you lost. You know, but, you know, it's like the bottom half all have issues with the exception of the Houston Rockets. They've been on a crazy run right now. I know we talked about NCAA, but the Rockets right now are looking like NC State. They've had all these injuries. They're on an amazing run right now, and because of the team, the depth, the way that they're playing right now, I hate that they don't have Sengun. I hate that they don't have Eason, but I don't want to mess his name up. Thompson. Amin Thompson. He's been playing. He's been filling that role, and he's been kind of that one unexpected you know, breakout that they saw. And I can tell you right now, if they get into that play-in, you know, these teams that got issues, they better watch out for the Rockets. They better watch out for them. You know, and when, like I said, when I'm looking at the Eastern Conference, I'm looking at, they have a collection of a lot of good teams. The class of the Western is the Nuggets, then you have these unexpected, young teams that are playing really good, and everybody else has issues. Now, I will say this, and I'm going to lean back into my Duke roots. Zion lost those 25 pounds and has been playing absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys go back, what was it, 2 years ago when they made the McCollum trade, right? They were on an amazing run. They literally I think they had won like 18 out of 20 games or something. And the only reason why that team did not make a deep playoff run, because they're actually really talented, they're really deep, because Zion got hurt, and then it was Valanciunas? Valanciunas got hurt, and that was big for them because he's the defense, he's the enforcer, he's the rebounder. And then I want to say Ingram had got hurt like the third game or something like that. Yeah. So they were just decimated by injuries, but they had went on like an amazing run.
Yeah, he's hurt now.
Yeah, but so if they get healthy, they're actually kind of scary too, because if you look at that team, they're talented, they're deep, and they have veterans on that team. So that's the one catalyst that I will say that I want to see what the Pelicans will do. But the Pelicans have, and they're so under the radar. Everybody's want to see what Steph is going to do. If Steph's going to make it, if LeBron's going to hold down and they're going to make it in the play-in, if the Rockets going to make their last seed. Meanwhile, nobody's looking at the Pelicans. And when you don't look at somebody,
they're going to punch you in the mouth.
Hey, we talked about boxing. You know what's the one punch that'll knock you out? The one that you don't see.
The one you don't see. Yeah. It's funny you mentioned, OKC, Timberwolves, Pelicans. Again, all young squads that have just, found a way to crawl themselves back into relevancy. I mean, if you think 3-4 years back, these were, lottery picks, the OKC Thunder in the lottery, Timberwolves in the lottery, you know what I'm saying? Pelicans in the lottery. But I think, and when it comes to this Western Conference, I have a hard time seeing any of these squads, including my own Houston Rockets, banging with the Denver Nuggets in a 7-game series. They're too well coached. They're too deep. And again, we spoke about youth, right? And we spoke about the fact that especially when it pertains to the Eastern Conference, you got a lot of young teams just doing young team stuff. And again, I love my Rockets, but OKC, very young team. Playoff time, when that water gets up here, can you tread water? Can you swim? I haven't seen this OKC team do that. Same thing with Minnesota. Whether Cat gets back or not, I'm gonna say this, and Steve is going to scream at me. And if he doesn't, I know his lady is. I'm not a fan of Cat. I never have been a fan of Cat. I think he is a big guy who likes to play like a little guy.
Greatest shooting big man of all time. But keep going.
He won a 3-point contest. Yeah, okay. Anywho, I don't want my 7-footer shooting threes, but that's another conversation for another day. We'll talk about that on the NBA show. But with Cat being able to come back, it gives another dynamic that teams are gonna have to worry about. I just don't think that's enough to get past Denver. We had this conversation a couple weeks ago. I don't know if it was online or text messages or whatever, or here on the show. Out of Boston and Denver, who do you see slipping up? And I told you guys Boston. I don't see anybody beating Denver in the Western Conference. There's no way that's beating Denver in the Western Conference. Whether Golden State gets hot, gets in, LeBron keeps drinking that fountain of youth juice that he's drinking, nobody's beating Denver. Nobody's beating Denver, man. Steve, talk to me, my guy. This Western Conference is loaded. It's going to be a gauntlet, like my man Larry said. But how you feel this thing shaking out, my guy?
You know what? I am going to resist the urge to defend my large Dominican son, Carl Towns. So I'm going to keep the show moving.
I threw you a fastball.
No, because it's like I just so I'll just keep it moving. The Nuggets are, I don't want to say board, but the Nuggets, like, this is old hat to them. It's like, okay, here the regular season, we have to play 82 of these. It's like, we got to get through this, and then playoff time is like they lock in. And something that you said, Sirius, earlier is something that I think is the problem with other Western Conference teams. You can beat the Nuggets once, you can beat them twice. You have to beat them 4 times in the playoffs. And to beat the Nuggets 4 times in a 7-game series, I just feel like I don't think there's a team in the Western Conference that can do that. Maybe Boston can do that, but in the Western Conference, I just don't feel like either teams are too young, like the T-Wolves, or like, the Pelicans, or they're just a tire fire like the Clippers or the Suns or like the Mavericks, where the Nuggets are the class of the Western Conference. Like you said, they're deep, they're experienced, great coaching. My thing is where things are going to get exciting is at the bottom in the middle. Again, you got 3 Rockets fans on this, show, and so I won't even talk about like, I know, but bad luck, right, Villain? Is like you surrounded by 3 Rockets fans, right? But so I won't even go in on the Rockets. It's like what they've been doing is fantastic. I love it. It's like I put them, like I started writing a eulogy when Sengun went down, and they haven't lost since. You know what I'm saying? Oh, they lost 1 game because I started. Yeah, they lost 1 game. Since I wrote the eulogy for the Rockets. So it's like, shows what I know about my own team. But but it's like they bought in. They bought into everything, and it's like it's been like a struggle all year. It's like we're like Udoka, like, listen to me, guys. Defense, play it, okay? If we play defense, yes, put ball in hoop, as I've said before on the show, but keep other teams from putting ball in hoop. That's how you win. Put ball in hoop more than other teams put ball in hoop. You got to strip this thing down to like its bare bones with a young team like the Rockets. Because we referenced like AAU earlier. It's like that's the one thing that like would drive me crazy about the previous regime, and we won't even talk about the previous regime with the Rockets. But it was AAU ball. Mm-hmm. It wasn't professional. It wasn't NBA basketball. It was just a bunch of kids run up and down the floor, just doing what they want to, trying to get on SportsCenter. And now this team's playing basketball. And it's amazing to see how they've kind of gotten this together. It's been a big fight within the Rockets fan base. Oh, well, we're better without Sengun, and it's just like, whatever. I don't want to go into that. But the Clippers, a team that I like was championing a couple weeks ago, like James Harden is doing what James Harden does. He's running away from the tough times and the hard times. He's gonna be somewhere in LA, at a club or something like that. That's what he does. And I loved Harden to death when he was with the Rockets, but this is what he does. Russ cares so much. Like Kawhi is just kind of like, whatever. It's just the Clippers are clippering. It doesn't matter who's on that team. It's in the walls. You got to break that thing down, and maybe moving to their brand new beautiful stadium in Inglewood will kind of get that stink off of them. But it's just they do this. The Mavs defense optional. While I didn't take the fastball with Carl, I want to say this for this. It warms my heart to see the Utah Jazz going through what they're going through. It makes me feel all warm inside. It warms my heart.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? I love to see what have become of the Jazz. It's a beautiful thing. You can call me what you want to, but I love to see the Jazz just in this predicament. I love to see it. The Kings, a team who like caught everybody off guard last year, the Kings are just kind of still there. A lot of people probably, the Kings are a team that people thought like we're going to kind of maybe fall off a little bit or do it again. And it's like the Kings like, all right, bet we will do it again. And the Kings are right there again. They got experience. They got, took the schools pretty much last year in the playoffs by experienced team, but they're battle tested. And I think the Kings will do better this time around because they did get that experience. But again, like we said, guys, like the Eastern Conference is top heavy, but the Western Conference is just so good top to bottom because again, you got a team like the Rockets, who, if you put them in the Eastern Conference, can make some noise in the Eastern Conference bracket. You have a team like the Pelicans, well, just health is such a big concern with them. If they can get healthy, like Brandon Ingram is one of my favorite young players because when he's dialed in, when he's healthy, he's just so smooth and slick with it. It's just like it's effortless for him on the basketball court. It's just scoring is just such an easy thing for him to do. And then you have the brute force of Zion, just going out there and just doing what Zion does, doing things that nobody else can do besides him with his skill set, just his build. So the Western Conference is going to be fantastic, but at the end of the day, I don't see anybody being able to beat the Nuggets 4 times in 7 games.
Yeah, I don't see it at all. Villain, man, I'm gonna close this, Western Conference conversation with you. But before we go, without the King LeBron James, the Milwaukee Bucks are in double overtime.
Yeah,
versus the Los Angeles Lakers.
I'm looking at it right now.
Another reason why I had a hard time picking the Milwaukee Bucks.
Anyways, have a hard time keep taking the Lakers seriously because LeBron plays every other day.
Yeah, to talk to me, Villain.
Injury. I know he's older. I know he's like 39 and all that stuff, but he's always every other game. And it always happens to be against like somebody you would like to see him play against too. Just putting it out there. I don't care. He's your king. Is this your king? Is this your king? Eric Killmonger. Listen, I'm not going to beat this into the ground. You guys really hit on it. I agree with Larry 100%. The Denver Nuggets are the class of this conference. They kind of were in the middle of the pack for a little while, and then after the All-Star break, wait, you know what? Stop playing around with these clowns. Let's just do our thing. Let's just do what we do. They have the best player in basketball right now that not a lot of people want to say is the best player, but he is. I mean, however you slice it, Joker's the best player in the league. Jamal Murray is the perfect number 2. And Porter is a number 2 on a lot of teams, and he's a number 3 on a really good team. And that's the difference. And he's accepted his role. He was a steal in the draft. Drafted number 14 when he got drafted. I wanted the Knicks to take him so badly. Let him sit a year. We know he had that devastating injury. Who cared? Let him sit a year, and they didn't do it. Denver had the time to do it because they had the horses that were coming up, and they're seeing the fruits of that labor. Aaron Gordon is a perfect complement. They have the depth. They're just the best team. I agree with Larry. Every team in the West, 2-10 or 2-11, is good, but has something flawed with them. Like Dallas is good, but they don't play defense. The Phoenix is good, but they don't have a point guard. The Pelicans are good, but they're a little injured now with BI hurt, but they're a little young. I'm so glad Zach brought up the Kings. I feel like they're not getting enough respect. They're a good young team, and I knew they were good. Everybody knew they were good last year, and it wasn't prove it to me again. But De'Aaron Fox is that dude, and Sabonis is a perfect 2 with him. They're a perfect complement to each other, right? But then you look at like OKC, they're a really good team, exciting team, but they're young and they don't rebound. So everyone has a flaw. Denver doesn't have that flaw. You know what I mean? I feel like even though it's a not a top heavy, but it's a balanced Western Conference because the 8, 9, 10 are really good or good enough. And I really feel like nobody's really on the class of the Nuggets. I really don't. And I do like OKC. I like the Timberwolves when they get healthy with Cat. But do I really see them, to your guys' point, beating Denver 4 times in 7 games? No, I don't. So, the Clippers, they're the deepest team, but they've been awful since the All-Star break. They've been absolutely awful. So every team has a flaw out in the West, but the Denver Nuggets, and that's why I think the Denver Nuggets are going to run away with it. The Lakers, I can't take seriously. LeBron is going to play every game when the playoffs starts, but they're in the play. As good as they were supposed to be, they're a play-in team. Warriors look like they're folding up shop. Like they look like they don't want anything to do with getting into the playoffs. Like how does Steph Curry play 30 minutes? How is that possible? Why are you doing that? So I don't know what's going on with them, but yeah, every team is really looking up at the Nuggets, and I don't see the Nuggets losing 4 games in the 7-game series.
Yeah. One thing, and then I'm gonna talk about something else basketball. Gun to your head right now. Who's your MVP? Talk to me, villain.
That's a tough one, man. Oh my god. I guess I would have to. I would say it's Jokic, but it's boring, right? It's a boring pick for whatever reason, right? Why? Because he's the best player on one of the best teams. And, I mean, Tatum, you could say that too, but is he really the MVP this season? I don't think so. SGA.
Yeah.
It's tough. Like, there's no runaway for me. I would probably lean towards Joker, and it's like he's been quietly moving up the ranks. I really don't. If there's any time to have a co MVP, it'd probably be this year because I really don't feel like there's just one guy that's run away with it. To be honest with you, if I had the gun to my head, Joker.
I mean, I respect it. For me, and I'm gonna throw it to the other two in a minute. Joker's he's boring. And I'm a firm believer of giving credit where credit is due. And SGA for me, I got to tip my cap to what he's been able to accomplish this season. For the OKC Thunder, got him currently sitting at the 2 seed, averaging 30 some out of the game. Going to have this team, right in the thick of playoffs and everything. So, I think SGA deserves it. I'm gonna give it to SGA. I'm not a fan of Tatum, primarily because he went to Duke and I can't stand Duke. But saying I'm a Tar Heel fan. I said what I said. But I think SGA at the end of the day should win it, but it wouldn't shock me if Joker won it. Larry, talk to me, my guy, man. Gun in the head, man. You got to make a decision. Who's your MVP this year?
Okay, so I'm gonna give you my MVP first, but it was something else I wanted to say about this Western Conference that's really starting to hurt me. Well, you know what? I'll go into that first because that's what I wanted to finish up on my Western Conference take about. The thing about the Western Conference, I know we're talking about playoff teams, but the thing about the Western Conference to me that really drives me crazy is that you watch these teams, and meanwhile, one of the best coaches, I'm gonna say, if not the best coach, is Popovich, and he's literally killing his record in the Western Conference because nobody wants to go to San Antonio, and the only reason why they got Wembley is because they won the lottery.
They won the lottery.
He literally he recruited LeBron. We all knew LeBron wasn't going to San Antonio. Me and Steve were from Texas. Nobody wants to go to San Antonio. And he literally, them boys play hard every night for him. Every night. And it's the fact that because we're in the super team era, nobody will go to San Antonio. Even though they all respect him and they love him. Meanwhile, his record is so atrocious these last couple of years, and they haven't even sniffed the playoffs because nobody wants to go to San Antonio. And that's one of the saddest things about when you see the Western Conference. They may get somebody on a trade now because Wembley's there, but I can see right now Wembley being there, and then and when his contract is coming up, he needs to be traded to some other team, or he needs to get out of San Antonio. I can easily see that happening. But I'll wrap that up on the Western Conference. Now, as far as the MVP. How many times have we seen the best player not win the MVP?
Several times.
Several times. Michael Jordan could easily have 10 MVPs.
Right.
But they wouldn't vote for him. LeBron could easily have 10 MVPs.
Harden should have at least one more.
Yeah. LeBron could have 10 MVPs. He's been in the league 20 years. He could easily have 10 MVPs. Steph could at least have 5. So when you're looking at like Jokic is the best player. He's putting the best numbers on the best team. But how many times have we seen the best player on the best team with the best numbers not win the MVP? Right? So when you look at like in my head, I'm thinking it's gonna be SGA just because they are in that number 2 seed and he has amazing numbers. But I got two dark horses for you guys, and Tatum, he falls into that Jokic, that Jokic, sphere. It's like he's the best player on the best team, but I have two dark horses that I'm gonna say that they're gonna get MVP votes. It would totally amaze me if they won it. The first one, and I know you guys are gonna love it, Brunson. Literally kept that team. Literally kept that team afloat.
I hate him. I hate him. I forgot. I hate Brunson.
He's had some amazing. When I say amazing games, and he's literally kept them afloat. Like and I'm gonna say that he's one of my dark horses for winning the MVP. Just because when people look at the body of work that he's done on that team with the amount of injuries they've had, he's going to get some votes. And people are going to be like, no, Brunson should be MVP just solely based off of where their record is, what their team has went through, and what he's done to keep them afloat. Now, of course, my other dark horse, and
Anthony Edwards.
Anthony Edwards, yes, because he's must-see TV. He's box office. He's actually he's kind of in that same boat. He's kept them afloat since the cat injury. But this guy's like every day you see, and he's like, oh my God, he did an amazing dunk on somebody. Oh my God, he hit a game-winning fadeaway over 3 people, or he's dunked backwards while eating a Big Mac, and it was 2 defenders holding on to him or something. It's like every time you turn around, you see this guy everywhere, and they have the record to back it up, and he's putting the numbers up as well. But we all know that Jokic is the best player on the best team. He's the best player in the league, but we've seen it several times. The best player don't always win the MVP. So like I say, my head is with SGA, but those are my two dark horses.
I feel you. Steve, talk to me, my guy, man. MVP, man. You had to make a decision.
Yeah. Gun to my head. I would go probably Shea. Just because of like what he's doing in OKC. Jokic, I think he should win it probably, because again, it's like I'll say, the best player doesn't win, whatever like that. But I feel like I believe it was Ramona Shelburne for ESPN. She was like, she's a narrative voter. Like, what's the best story? Maybe not even the best player. Because if we go best player, then Jokic would win, keep winning. So it's like you think about like what's the best story, the leader of the Young Thunder. That's a pretty good story. What Anthony Edwards is doing, in the sports in the top 10 every night, that's a good story. So yeah, I would not vote based on like what's the best story, because I'm not I would go on based on who's the best player. And I think the best player is Jokic, and I think that's who should win MVP. But I would not be shocked or like, oh no, this is a travesty of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander wins MVP. And then like you said, if Ant gets some votes, I wouldn't be surprised if he's like third. Tatum, I just don't see it. I like Tatum. I'm a Tatum guy. But I don't look at him and see MVP. I look at him and see very good player, very good team, best record in the league. But I don't know. Like stuff like what happened last night will keep him from winning that trophy.
Yeah. I feel you, man. Like I said, I like what SGA's been doing. I think this is his year. No disrespect to Joker. But again, if Ant got some votes, it wouldn't shock me. You jumped out the box right there, Larry, with the Jalen Brunson idea. But again, that's thinking outside the box, because we all made the statement when the Knicks, acquired him. That was a hell of a pickup, and Dallas ain't been right since they let him go. But that's another conversation. Anytime I get an opportunity to see Dallas fall on their face, I'm excited about that. So that's another conversation for another day. Before we get out of here, gentlemen.
Aaron, I'll put this out there. Like Steve said, some voters do vote for that story, and they like look at that story. Oh my God, look at what that guy did. He literally kept them afloat. And I'll put it like this. When I say Jalen Brunson, is because Jalen Brunson, they've been basically vying for anywhere between 2 and 5, give or take.
Mm.
And if you look at all the other teams, they're pretty much fully loaded. Tatum, he disappears in games, and we all seen him, or he disappeared in the fourth quarter. And he's on the best team. They have all the talent, but when you look at the Knicks, it's like he didn't have OJ for half of the season until they traded for him.
Mm-hmm.
Then he don't have Randall, and then it's like they're still sitting in the 4th seed. So it's like when you look at it, it's like, is this guy truly the most valuable player for his team?
Like the way that Josh Hart is playing, DiVincenzo's playing well.
They're all playing.
They're all
really
balling right now. Again,
Josh
I
Hart
feel
is a throwback, man. He's a throwback.
I feel sick right now, talking, positively about the New York Knicks. But at the end of the day, man, like they're balling. They're balling.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like going in on my team like super hard, but I mean, like as a fan, I'm impressed. Like I didn't think that they would stay at this level with the injuries that they had. Anunoby, OG, when that trade happened, I think me and you, Sears, were going back and forth, and I was like, I loved it. It was like you were like, this isn't the big move, and I was like, he fits, and you could see it. He fits the team. Well, everybody knows their role. Like McBride being ready and playing at his level, playing all 42 minutes. Thanks, Tibbs. We'll run another. I got another guy to run into the ground.
Tibbs got to go before the hate. He war crimes, man. What he do? It's just like,
he's crazy, dog. He's crazy.
Like,
he's crazy.
He got to answer for his crimes one day, man. Like
he's squeezing every nickel and dime out of him.
But I love Josh Hart. Like real talk. Like after the Pistons game, right? Serious. Monty Williams was mad because DiVincenzo got the record for the Knicks, and he's like, I don't want to be a part of that, blah blah blah. And then Josh Hart after was like, well, you guys should have played defense. Like that's just a total Nick, old school Nick way of talking. Like I just love that, man. I love his energy, man.
Well, the thing is, I love. Hold on one second, Eric. I loved RJ Barrett in New York more than I love Anunoby in New York. But again, you were right. It fit. But that's the only reason why I questioned it at the time of the move. Go ahead, Larry. Talk to me.
I was saying, but even though they've had other people step up, especially DiVincenzo, but Brunson has been the catalyst for it.
Right.
And you look at it,
he's the consistency.
And you look at that team, and you say to yourself, if Tyrese Maxey had did the same thing when Embiid went down, he would have got MVP votes.
That's right.
He would have got MVP votes.
That's right.
They was in the second. They was number 2 when Embiid went down. And if Tyrese Maxey had did the same thing, you got to look at Jalen Brunson and say Jalen Brunson did what Tyrese Maxey should have did.
Or couldn't do. He couldn't
do it.
He couldn't do it.
I love that.
And the thing is, the thing is, the Knicks role players, in my opinion, are better than the 76ers role players.
And you got to give the front office credit because everybody says that we're holding on to picks, not doing anything. But the moves that they did make, getting Hart at the deadline last year, getting Anunoby and Prince like Achua this year, getting Hartenstein, which nobody remember. Sears yelled at me because of the Hartenstein sign. He's like, "That's your guy," and I was like, "All right, well, he's a role player."
We went to war for that one. We went to war about that one.
He fits, and like Anunoby, I get it. I did not want Barrett to go. Because I screamed, like, if you were going to trade him for Donovan, not Anunoby. But Anunoby is a better shooter and a better defender. His defense is so much better on the wing than Barrett's. He lets everybody fit into their role, and then he doesn't need the ball on offense. He's a 3-and-D guy, but a better D and a better 3 than Barrett was. Like Barrett can't spot up, so it's like, yeah. it's fun. It's just so much fun.
Hey,
Yeah.
I gotta piss off Aaron right quick. Aaron,
Say it ain't so. Say it
I
ain't
bet,
so.
hey, I bet you LeBron wish he would have kept Josh Hart. Yeah, yeah. I bet you wish he would have kept him.
Before we get out of here, gentlemen, I got to talk a little NFL with you guys. There has been some rule changes from these owners meetings that's going to really change how we watch the games and how the games are being played. And I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to sound off about it. First and foremost, they've done away with the hip tackle, if you will. The tackle that, injured Mark Andrews and several others, and they adjusted the kickoff to kind of look like it does in the XFL. But tell me what you guys think about these new rule changes. I think the tackling is really going to affect the game from a defensive perspective, because it's bad enough that the area where you're able to hit the guys and tackle the guys is shortened anyway, and now you can't wrap them up and take them to the ground with the hip. And talk to me, villain, man. This is getting wild. I mean, NFL players have sounded off about it. It's talk to me, dog.
The rule change with the kickoff, I like it just to kind of protect the players, and I think it's a little bit more exciting. I don't think you see many kickoffs anyway, kick returns. What's the difference? And I think one of the rules. I think if it's a touchback, it goes to the 30 now. Mm-hmm. You don't see a lot of kick returns now, and I think it's in a controlled environment the way they're doing it with the XFL rules, so that people don't get kind of blindsided and hurt and everything. I think that the hip drop, whatever, I think it's really a way to not protect the defensive player, to be honest with you. I think it's more, you're putting so many shackles on a defensive player, you're going to get them hurt more than you're going to get an offensive player hurt, because they can't do anything. You can't hit low, you can't hit high. You have a little window to hit a guy, and then you're trying to bring a guy down. You can't do that. You really are you're going to get the defensive guy put in a precarious position.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, dude, you know what? Hold on. I'm going to save my comment for later. Zach, talk to me, my guy. These rule changes are wild. How you feel?
So I like the kickoff rule. I'm gonna come back around on kickoff rule. The hip drop, I think it's the Buster Posey rule, just like in baseball. Buster Posey got hurt, infamously, shattered his ankle on a play at the plate, and now you can't do that anymore. It's it takes one of the most exciting plays in baseball. You see a guy rounding third, you see a guy throwing in from center field. It's like, oh, there's going to be a play at the plate, and now you don't have it anymore because Buster Posey, one of your star players, got hurt. Now, Mark Andrews isn't a star, but you have a player of note on a team that a lot of people watch and have eyes on, gets hurt because of this hip drop tackle, and it's going to be a penalty. So it's basically like a horse collar, but then again, it's subjective. It's like a horse collar, a horse collar when you see it, but even sometimes it's were the hands all the way inside them, so then it's like, with this is so how far did he drop the hip, or what it just leaves a lot of suggestion. It's gonna be up to the referees and the umpires, oh well, he did drop the hip a little bit too much, or he didn't drop it enough, and then it's so that's just something that I don't like the tackle rule, because again, you have, it's like heads up football, they have this big initiative, player safety and stuff like that, and I get it, but you have so much of the torso that you can attack without, worrying about getting fined or a penalty or whatever like that. And that is now, how can you tackle someone? It's just how, do you just literally just run into the person? You can't wrap up anymore. You just run into a person, or you just try to push him down or whatever like that. I don't know, but interesting to see how that rule is interpreted. and we'll see. The kickoff rule, I like it. It's making special teams special again, Aaron. It's because the kickoff has been kind of slowly phased out of the game. We look at the Hall of Fame, a guy like Devin Hester, who made the Hall of Fame because of what he was able to do, returning kickoffs and punts and the like. You're still assigned a guy, Cordero Patterson today, whereas like you're worried about what he can do as like a receiver and not what he can do as a return guy. He is one of the best to ever do it as far as like returning kicks and punts. And it's funny that the Steelers, who didn't want this rule, like who would have voted against it, but was like, all right, well, whatever. And then hours later go sign like a guy who will benefit greatly from said rule. So I like it. Again, player safety it's fine. It's a thing where it's like we'll see how that works, and it's like the preseason we'll see how this works. It's just I don't like the fact that people claim to want more scoring and more this and more that, but then say, "Oh, well, this rule is stupid." It's like we will get to see more offense. We'll get to see the ball, start at a further down the field and stuff like that. So I'm a big fan of the rule. I like it, and I think we will see punt return specialists and kick return specialists come back. Like I said, the Pattersons, the Brian Mitchells, the guys like that. And then on the other hand, guys like a Slater from the Patriots, like they're going to become more valuable. But it's just like I said, making special teams special again, man.
I mean, I can respect the take. I can respect the opinion. Respectfully, I just don't agree with the signing, but I'll speak my piece about that later, or you can read my post because I got into a nice little conversation about it before we jumped on air. Larry, talk to me, my guy. You know what I'm saying? These rules have been handed down from above. Tell me how you feel.
Man, like I told y'all, man, I'm holding it down for my boy Chandler today. Man, I'm gonna hold it down for him, man. Love that guy, man. So I'm gonna just put it like this: the kickoff rule. I love the kickoff rule, right? I love the fact that you will see more kickoffs now, and those guys that most people that watch football, they what we call casual fans. They don't really know the game. They watch it and they see it on TV and I seen this guy score a touchdown and all this other stuff, but they don't really understand that the guys who play special teams, they're the guys who barely holding on to their jobs. They're the guys who came in undrafted or they came in a low draft pick and their contract is unguaranteed. Or even better, I have friends that, they sign these 2-year non-guaranteed contracts and they get cut tomorrow, and then they're signed back to the practice squad. They get cut tomorrow, and this is where they make their bones at. This is where they actually make the team at. So now these teams, because there's more emphasis on special teams, those guys will actually be, a commodity to the team. And now when they're barely holding them by a thread, and teams having to make a decision, hey, should I keep this guy drafted in the 3rd round and we discovered that he sucks, but he's on a guaranteed contract? Or could I really put this guy who came in and bust his ass and he's undrafted, but he's killing on special teams? I keep that guy because now I can keep that guy and he's valuable to the team. So I like the special teams aspect of it. And then, like you say, you will start seeing more stars that come out of special teams because now they can do actual returns. We all know, you watch the game, these kickers got big legs now. These kickers are kicking 60-yard field goals like yesterday. And they kicking off from like the 35. They're kicking it damn near out the field goal. They damn near kicking another under the field goal and kickoff now. How many times have you seen a kickoff go through the goalpost and go into the stands on a kickoff? So you don't even see the returns no more. So I like the fact that you're seeing the kickoffs. It's a rule. I don't know if you guys are paying attention to it, but I do like the fact that now if you challenge and you lose a challenge, but you win the second one, you get a third. Because how many times we saw games and teams are like, oh, he's out of challenges. And he may have won one and lost one, but now, oh, he doesn't have a third one, and I don't want it to get ridiculous where, oh, they're on their 7th challenge or their 10th challenge. I don't want to get that far, but how many games that we saw come down to that team just don't have a third challenge? And we see these questionable calls. I do like that came out of it. Not saying that we're giving you a free fall, but yeah, you win 1 out of 2, go ahead and take a third. Now I'm really gonna go into Chandler because this I'm gonna try to keep it PG. This effing tackle rule, and I'll quote Shannon Sharp. They need to tell these people, they need to get these old ass owners, let you run up and down the field and chase somebody who run a 4.3 and you can only hit them in one spot.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, people see me now and they see he a big dude. When I played football in high school, I was every bit of 120 soaking wet. And you know what our coaches used to tell us? Big guys tackle them low.
Tackle them low.
The low men always win.
Yep.
Now you can't do that. You can't tackle the low man. You can't go for the low man. You can't hit him in the head. And like Steve mentioned, and it's like the star gets hurt. So now we got to change the rule. That's why you can't hit quarterbacks low, because Tom Brady got hit in the ankle. And he tore his ACL because the guy hit him low. So nobody can hit him low. And it's like, now when you look at the game, it's like the part that frustrates me to all holy hell about the game is, one, we just saw it in the NBA. You make these rules up, and every year you see a rule to come out for the offense. Rule to come out, can't do this, can't do that. Offense this, offense that. And then now you see these guys with these inflated numbers, and they're like, oh, I'm the GOAT. I'm the GOAT of this. But I'm playing with all these rules that are geared toward making my numbers look good. Imagine trying to tackle Bo Jackson and you can hit him here.
You're going to run your ass over.
It's over. Or you're going to be gone because you're going to have to make a choice. And you're going
to run right by you.
Yeah. Like, imagine, I'm not even going to go that far back. All the receiver rules, and they literally, this is the part that really pisses me off. Because of the rules they have in the NFL now, you never see bump and run coverage. They're literally 10, 12 yards off of these guys because you can't hit them. You can't. It's a what do you call it when you hit them in the head? You targeting. You can't do
targeting. Yeah.
Put Calvin Johnson in right now with all these rules. Can't hit him low. Can't hit him high. I got to play off of him because if I touch him and it's 4.5 yards down the field,
it's a 15-yard penalty.
Yeah, it's a 15-yard penalty. You put Megatron in today's rules. Oh my God! And that's the most frustrating thing. And I don't want to sound like that old guy who's saying, these players aren't, skilled. You see these guys running 4.2s like left and right. Not saying that guys back in the day wasn't as fast, because I've had that argument before with people. And he's like, man, them dudes were slow. And I was like, look up Bo Jackson, 4.12, clocked. I say, dude, so don't sit up and say that these dudes were slow. Look up Deion Sanders. 4.22. Darrell Green consistently won. So don't say that these guys were slower, but you guys are playing with a rule set that literally allows you guys to put up these astronomical numbers. And when you look at it, you say to yourself, like, okay, you guys are putting up these astronomical numbers when these guys played when they literally could freaking kill you, and they were just as fast as you. So imagine what their numbers would look like. Y'all know I'm a 49ers fan. Jerry Rice wasn't the fastest, but you know what they say, catch him from the back. Jerry Rice was a perfectionist with his route running. Imagine Jerry Rice playing with these rules. Jerry Rice would have like 200 receptions and 3,000 yards and 37 touchdowns. And they would be like, oh my God, this guy's not the fastest. But when you look at his numbers, he has 22 catches on you for 300 yards because you can't touch the guy. You can't touch his quarterback. You literally, the NFL has to at some point sit back and say to themselves, we have an offense and a defense. And have we created so many freaking rules for the damn offense? And I know people love to see offense. And did you make so many freaking rules that now guys ain't even going to want to play defense? How many guys coming up, and hey, look, I can't tackle this dude. And if you play defense, that's what you love for. You love that big hit. You love to, hey, I just say it like that. We put that what in the dirt. That was what you live for in football if you play defense. And now it's like they're taking so many rules out of the game. How many guys are now not gonna want to play defense because they know when I get to a certain level, I can't really play defense. Even in NCAA, it's like, hey, that guy couldn't control himself, and did he accidentally hit him in the head? Yeah, I accidentally hit him in the head. So now this dude's out for the whole fucking game.
Targeting, he can't come back. Out for the first half.
He's there for this half and next half for the next game. So it's like, you know what? Call me whatever you want to call me. At that point, if I play defense, give me my damn ball. I'm going home. Give me my ball. I'm going home, and I don't want to play no more because I can't play the game which the way that it was intended. And I'm all for player safety, but at some point they got to sit back and say to themselves, have we gone too far? And I think with this hip tackle rule, I think that now they've exceeded the point of going too far to where I can tell you right now, when we get to the preseason, and we all know in preseason, the offenses don't be that well. The defenses is what really hold up until the offenses start clicking. When you look at the defenses in the preseason watch, you're going to see guys like, I can't make that tackle. So what do I do? Are you going to be like, oh, I can only hit him like here, so I'm going to reach. And you know what happened? My arms are going to go right off his shoulder pads, and he's going to run 80 yards down the field.
Yeah.
80 yards down the field. And then everybody's going to look at me like, why you missed that tackle? And I'm like, well, my tackle spot is here. And I couldn't get to that point. So now that's the most frustrating thing to me. It's like, and I get it. The NFL, y'all probably gonna hear me say this many times. The NFL has the weakest union out of all the unions. And these guys are not gonna say, hey, let's stick up for our defensive guys and go to the CBA and say, hey, look, y'all need to start, taking away some of these rules for our defensive guys, because you know what's gonna end up happening? Like I say, I always say, let me put this on y'all brain. What's going to end up happening? Dudes ain't going to want to play defense. They're going to want to play offense. And now, when you have those corners and those safeties, and now they're like running backs, and people are like, man, we'll pay a cornerback $2 million. We'll pay him, $3 million on a signing bonus, because cornerbacks ain't really that valuable no more, because we can switch them out any day, and at the end of the day, they really don't play. So now we've already saw what happened to the running backs. The CBA, the union, they didn't stick up for the running backs. They was like, screw y'all, we all getting our money. Quarterback salaries are going through the roof. Wide receivers going through the roof. Offensive left tackles are going through the roof. Screw you running backs, because you guys are interchangeable, and they just switch you out left and right. So now when you see cornerbacks and safeties and all that stuff happening, because at the end of the day, they can't really play defense. Is the NFL going to stand up for them guys? Because then once they get devalued and they're not making the money they make, I don't think that they're going to stand up for them.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, I really feel for a defensive player who's trying to provide for his family and make the tackle to stop a guy from scoring. And I think you guys hit the nail on the head. Every year, a new offensive rule gets rolled out to benefit the offense. So at some point, if I'm a defensive player, or an advocate or something like that, you got to raise your hand and be like, yo, what the hell are we supposed to do? Like, I understand that they're bringing officials and referees for OTAs and training camps and all the stuff to kind of acclimate the players to the new rule. But again, when your range is here,
Hey, Aaron, I'll drop this even further. Anybody who's played any type of organized sports, your plays, what the coaches call, but at some point you start playing on muscle memory. Hey, I go tackle this guy. Hey, this is how I tackle him. You play on muscle memory. So now, when you're a defensive player and you have to think, you've already gotten all your defensive signals. You know what defensive, and you're reading the offense, and now I got to process in literally seconds, because that's what they got, literally seconds, sometimes milliseconds, to make a decision to tackle this guy. And I got to process, can I hit him here? Can I hit him there? Can I not grab him here? Can I do this? Can I do that? guys are gonna start really freezing up, and next thing you know, you're gonna see where you're like, dang, why did he not make that tackle? He's thinking too much, and he's not just playing football. We've all heard him say it a bunch of times. He's not just playing football. He's thinking too much, and now that offensive player is like, I'm gonna juke A B C D. What was it? Take my ball. A B left right. This guy, and he's still thinking, what are you doing? And meanwhile, you're running down the field 80 yards, and he's scoring on you.
Yeah, it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad, but in an effort to get you guys out of here, man, we're gonna shut the show down there. I wanted to get you guys' opinion on the new rule changes as it was just dropped this afternoon. You know what, Larry? Thanks for coming by and kicking it with us, man. Give us a plug and a closeout if you shut it down, my man.
Man, I'm gonna just say it's always an honor and a privilege getting with you guys, and we talk about sports, but like Steve told me, he said, man, Larry's one of those guys that he could talk sports, but he talks it where you understand and it makes sense and it's relevant. So I definitely like being with like-minded guys. And I'm gonna go serious again. I'm still gonna say, because I was shocked this morning when I woke up and I saw it on the news. I'm gonna send my heart out to those families in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Peace. I'll see y'all later.
Yes, sir. Stay tuned, man. Stay tuned. Maybe doing something here on Thursdays here in the next couple of days, man. So stay tuned, man. Looking forward to kicking it with you again, good sir. Steve, you know what to do, my guy. Give us a plug and a closeout. You shut it down, my man.
Oh yeah, I mean another successful boardroom meeting. Love coming here, and again, talking sports with people who know sports and don't want to just argue. I'll say that every week. This is what we bring. This is what we do. If you want to go on the other side and people who argue and have hot takes for the sake of hot takes, maybe this isn't your jam. But if you want thought out process, we think about things before we speak. Well, all of us do. The OG Chandler probably don't think a lot before we speak, but I love Chandler to death. That's my OG. Yeah, just to reiterate what Larry said, man. Prayers up for everybody in Baltimore. Baseball is around the corner. We'll get to that. You know what I'm saying, next week, I'm sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's like I said, my favorite time of year with March Madness and baseball and basketball. This is just a wonderful time of the year for people who love sports like we do. I do want to say something serious real quick. The University of Utah women's basketball team, they were out in Idaho for the regional. Spokane, Washington hosts the regional because they do this home regional thing. They had a little, dust up with some local townies. Some words were said, some not nice words, and I won't repeat them here. But it's just it's wild. It's you know what? Me, I gamble a whole lot. I can be short. I can be rude. I can be stubborn. Hate me for that. Don't hate me because of what I look like. It's 2024. It's get over that. There's a lot of reasons to not like somebody, and the color of their skin or their background or whoever they sleep with or whatever like that. That's not a reason to legit hate somebody and be hateful. So on that note, y'all already know what I'm gonna do and what I'm gonna say. God is good
all the time.
Water is life. Make sure to drink water. Stay hydrated out here, guys. And of course, Wu-Tang is for the children. I'll see y'all later.
Yes, sir. Bye. Yes, sir. Black Zach, man, a pleasure to see you and talk to you as always, man. Villain, you know what to do, my guy. Give us a plug and a close out and shut it down, homie.
Yeah, man. Thank you, everyone at the boardroom. Thank you, everyone, for coming in. That everybody couldn't make it tonight. All the friends of the program. It's a success because everybody that's here or thinking about us or watching us around. We got something brewing, man. It's good. We working hard, working every week. Listen, it's definitely important just to keep your mind, your thoughts on the people in Baltimore. Anybody that was affected by it. Crazy to wake up to that, but there's always something going on around the world. Make sure you just pray up for everybody, keep everybody uplifted. Yeah, man, it's a good show. Love it. Love what we're doing. Love the energy. Love the vibe. Everybody's got a hot take, but it's a good take. It's a thought out take. Shout out to Chandler. couldn't make it today. Uncle Chandler, always keeping us in line, always keeping us on the straight and narrow. But it's good. It's good food for thought, all that good stuff. So you know what it is, UConn, baby, Huskies. I'll see you next week at the Final Four in Phoenix, baby.
It's gonna be a good show. It's gonna be a good show, man. All right, villain, man. Yo, I swear to goodness, man. I always enjoy working with that guy. Shout out to everybody who's been rocking with us, man. Everybody who wasn't able to make it in tonight. Chandler, man, missed you. Hopefully you're doing good, man. Mr. Harvey, man, get your behind back in here, my guy. Miss talking to you, man. Shout out to the homie Brian. Breaking news. He was handling some family business. Shout out to my friends and partners, and my man Jared and Aaron over there at Nonsense and Deep Thoughts, man. They doing some big stuff over there. Possibly a collabo in the works with those guys. I say this all the time, man. We all do the podcast thing, but it's a big enough table for everybody, man. Just find you a spot and do what you do. It's not about competition or anything like that, man. Everybody has something to bring to the table. Shout out to everybody in Sports City who's over there doing their thing, man. Wish you all the best, and maybe a collab here in a little bit. But man, I love doing this, man. My Rockets are streaking. You know what I'm saying? My Rockets are streaking. Who would have thought, man? And by the way, my man Larry ain't say this on the show, but I'm gonna have to holler at him, man. Jabari Parker needs to go. Jabari Smith needs to go. I can't stand that dude, man. He'll waste of time. With that being said, your boy's gone. Peace.